Third Dimension Production presents You Got Issues. You got issues, what? You got issues, what? You got issues, what? Everybody's got them. You got issues, what? You got issues, what? You got issues, what? Everybody's got them. You got issues, what? You got issues, what? You got issues, what? Everybody's got them. You got issues, what? You got issues, what? You got issues, what? Everybody's got them. You got issues, what? Everybody's got them.
Better some this my food, man. All day working the team. My food ain't ready. What?
Hey, baby, calm down. See your food right there? I was working hard all day.
What this is?
That's some lasagna and broccoli and some pumpkin.
What this is?
That's some, I just want to try something.
Go in there and cook me something broccoli. Go cook me something, yo. Look here, woman. Go and cook me what I need. Go and cook me what I need. That ain't nothing to be me. What happened? Cook me something in the kitchen, woman. Oh, please. I don't know what this woman Tina with though.
Honey, I come to apologize to tell you I'm so sorry for what happened the other night. I hope you forgive me for what I did.
Thanks for the flowers.
But
They're beautiful.
baby, it never happen again, okay?
You sure?
Sure. I love you too much. I'll never do that again.
All right then.
Then I get a hug.
That's so.
Yo, Bahamas, what y'all saying? And welcome to another edition, a serious edition, in the brand new You Got Issues studio. Call a friend, call your mama, call your grandmama, call your hubby, and tell them You Got Issues is on the air. Tonight, we're dealing with a sensitive issue, a serious issue, the issue of physical abuse. Physical abuse is when somebody injures another person through acts of punching, kicking, choking, shaking, stabbing, or beating with a stick, with an object to bring them in danger or to bring them to a place of injury or harm. Let's go straight to the round table where we deal tonight with the serious and sensitive issue of physical abuse. Yo, Bahamas, what y'all saying? And welcome to You Got Issues. And this is the round table. You know, the round table. And so tonight we're dealing with, and we're so excited to have some young people from Operation Rescue. And they deal with that youth ministry down there at Bahamas Christian Fellowship. Oh yeah, Ian Bethel, Paul Butler, I tell you, the mix. And so tonight we're dealing with the issue of physical abuse. And very quickly we're going to ask them to just very quickly introduce themselves with their first and last names. We start with the good gentleman on my far side, man.
Well, my name is Darren Sells.
My name is Amanda Sands.
Hey Bahamas, my name is Shaquille Ano.
All right, and welcome to You Got Issues, the powerful jamming, slamming. Hey, okay, let's get to it. We're dealing tonight with the issue of physical abuse. Very quickly, tell our youths that are watching, what is physical abuse?
Well, physical abuse is when you are hurt by a person physically, and it causes emotional scars, and those emotional scars can lead you to depression or suicide.
Okay. What do you think? What do you think is physical abuse?
I think physical abuse, just adding on what he said, it's when somebody, intentionally they hurt you, they hurt your body, and they just desecrate your bodies physically, and it goes further than them hitting you or them touching you. It goes deep down to your emotions and your spirit. You know, it really messes you up in the mind. So.
Okay. What do you think? What do you think is physical abuse? What's your take on that?
Well, I think that physical abuse is when someone takes all the pain that they have from their past and they have no way else to direct it than to hit you. And sometimes it may be a reaction that they don't want to do. However, it's what is portrayed and it's what comes out. And sometimes the devil tends to trick our mind and say that it's okay or make you feel as though, hey, this makes me more powerful as a man or as a woman to physically attack someone. So I just think that whenever someone takes all of the negativity that they feel and they put that on you, that's physical abuse.
Okay, what are some of the symptoms of somebody who has been physically abused, who's been hit, or who's been slapped, or who's been kicked, or who's been stomped by a loved one, what are some of the telltale signs of a victim of physical abuse?
First of all, they're going to be depressed as a result of the physical abuse because it weighs down their emotions. So depression causes tiredness. So a person who has been physically abused, they are tired a lot. So that's one of the symptoms.
Okay. Okay.
A person who's physically abused, they lack motivation. Because of the emotional scars, they can't really focus on the schoolwork, they can't focus on their purpose in life.
Okay.
And also, you would tell when someone is physically abused because they're actually afraid to look at you. Because I met someone who's physically abused before, and they tend not to look directly in your eyes because they feel that you can read what they're going through. And also, you have image, they go to drinking, they go to smoking. They even seek other people to try and tell them, what they're worth, because their self-worth now is so low, it's that I need you to tell me my value, or I need to smoke so that I don't have to understand or feel what it is I'm going through. So
they get into a lot of negativity, just to kind of mask the pain, or to appease, or to bring comfort to them, you would think? Okay. Any of you have ever been through that experience in your life at some point?
Well, I've been through that experience from I was a young child, till I was about 13 years old. My father would physically abuse me and my two brothers and my mother. And it would cause emotional pain inside. It caused me to go into deep depression, low self-esteem. And I would seek to find comfort with the things my friends do. And so I would follow them. I followed negative crowds because I wanted to feel one. I wanted someplace where I could go to tell my problems, but there wasn't the right person. I realized God was the right person to go to.
How do you deal with the overwhelming emotions and all that kind of stuff related to physical abuse?
Well, it's hard to deal with it yourself. You have to go directly to God with it. And when you go to God with it, He can heal you from any emotional pain that you go through. And He can restore you, and He can show you true love, and He can be your true father and true parent.
Oh, that's awesome. If you had one word, I don't mean to spend so much time on you, but if you had one word to speak to your father, what would you say to your old man?
I would say, Father, I forgive you for everything you did. And I pray that you forgive yourself. I pray that God forgives you. And I pray that the world knows that no matter what happens in your life, that it's only there to make you stronger and help you to move on. And I pray that you never give up. Let your candle not go up, but be inflamed by the glory of God.
All right. Very quickly, what word would you give to somebody who is going through physical abuse? What would you say to them? What would you tell them?
The words what I would give to somebody who is being abused in any sort of manner, that you have to, it's a must that you talk about it with people, because the release of that pain could somewhat, heal you in a bit. I mean, it isn't a cure, but it's a treatment we could use. We could find somebody, a pastor, maybe a teacher, someone you look up to, someone with good moral standards, and we could just talk to them, and hopefully
they'll help you in the kind of way you need to be helped.
They'll help you in the kind of way you need to be helped.
So you'd say just talk about it. Find somebody confidential that you can vent and get it off of your chest. What would you give to people who are being physically abused?
I want you to first find your value. And I want you to look, a lot of us tend to go to people and we tend to venture outside. But look within yourself and learn the person who you are, and learn that you are created in the most beautiful image, that God Himself has pulled you and formed you from the day that you were in your mother's womb, that you are glorious and you are gracious, and that you have to learn to love yourself before you can even start to step outside of physical abuse. You have to understand that a person that abuses you does not love you. A lot of times, and Diana Francis, if you would allow me, a lot of times we get physical abuse even from our parents. And they may say things to you like you're stupid, or they may say, oh, you're just an idiot, go in your room, or they may throw you up against the wall, or they may drink and say things out of the way. But you have to first find your value. And to anyone that's listening, please, read Psalms 139. It teaches you about your value, and then you would learn how to step out of physical abuse.
You've gone through it. What, as we close, what word would you give to a young person who would have gone through physical or is going through physical abuse?
The first thing I'll say is learn to forgive, because if you don't forgive, it'll be a burden on your heart. You have to release that burden. And you have to know that you cannot forgive on your own. You have to give it to God. Place God first in your life, and He could transform your life. He could change the things in your life that's going wrong. And know that in every adversity, there's a seed of greater benefit. Receive that seed, dig it well before you're thirsty, and grow, and show the world that no matter how down you are, you can be like a mustard seed and grow to be the greatest herb.
Whoa, Bahamas, I tell you serious stuff. The issue of physical abuse is a serious one. Some powerful things stated here today. But you've got to love yourself. And that's the beginning of stepping out of physical abuse. Break the cycle today. Call somebody, tell somebody, I'm in it and I want to get out now. You got issues. Peace out.
Okay, mate. It's time to play my song. My song? The hook. You've never heard the hook before? Well, I'll sing a little piece for you, mate. Everybody's hooked on something, sex, alcohol, or drugs. I too am hooked on something, but none of the above, none of the above. Everybody's hooked on something, whether it be good or bad. If you're gonna be hooked on something, kid, make sure it don't make you sad. Heck, the hook, oh man, I love this song. The hook, oh man, that hook is strong. The hook, come on, let's have some fun, grab a friend and dance along. The hook, when it's a brand new dance. The hook, come on, give it a chance. The hook, you got it, mate. Hey, wanna learn it? Then look, the chant them like a hook. Little shuffle with your foot. That's right, laddie, that's the hook. You didn't get it? Don't feel bad. Try again. Try hard. You got it, laddie. The hook. Oh man, I love this song. The hook. Oh man, that hook is strong. The hook. Come on, let's have some fun. Grab a friend and dance along. The hook. Come on, a brand new dance. The hook. Come on, give it a chance. The hook. Come on, try with your hands, laddie. Hey, drink lots of rum, you get hooked. Chew lots of gum, you get hooked. Chase enough woman, you get hooked. Hooked, hooked. Smoke lots of dope, you get hooked. Do lots of coke, you get hooked. Tell a lot of jokes, you get hooked. Hooked. Everybody's hooked on something, sex, alcohol, or drugs. I too am hooked on something, but none of the above, none of the above. Everybody's hooked on something, whether it be good or bad. If you're gonna be hooked on things, kids, make sure it don't get you sad, man. The hook, oh man, I love this jam. The hook, man, this jam is strong. The hook, come on, let's have some fun, grab a friend and dance along. The hook, the hook, the hook, hook, hook. Get off the hook, there's a scar. The hook don't care who you are. One way to escape the danger. Be smart, don't stop. Get hooked on phonics, hooked on electronics, that's a hook. Get hooked on music, that's what I took. That's why Massive is hooked. Everybody's hooked on something, sex, alcohol, or drugs. I too am hooked on something, but none of the above, none of the above. Everybody's hooked on something, whether it be good or bad. Now if you're gonna be hooked on something, laddie, make sure it don't make you sad, okay? The hook. The hook. That's right, baby. The hook. You got it. The hook. The hook. I see it. The hook. Oh, this is strong, man.
Hi, I'm Lathyra Tinker, Theodore Elliott's Miss Teen Bahamas World 2008-2009, and you're watching You Got Issues. You got issues, I got issues, we all got issues. So this is the show where we deal straight up with your issues. Check us out.
And now we're going to bounce to to the word from the throne and hear the personal experience of a woman who was the victim of physical abuse, getting beaten, getting battered. It was such a serious experience. And of course, her book is going to be released in June. Let's hear right away from Paulette Lightbourne and her experience with physical abuse.
My name is Paulette Lightbourne, and I'm a survivor of domestic violence. The Word of God tells us that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. I used to have the misconception that this would never happen to me. This could never happen to me. You know, after all, I was a good woman, a good mother, a good wife. My husband at the time, both of us had good jobs. So this could never happen to me. But reality hit me right in the face in 2001 from a blow that caused a concussion inflicted by my ex-husband. I went through a series of tests, MRIs, CAT scans, and after that I just experienced a series of blackouts after blackouts. And I had a few near-death experiences because of these blackouts. One in particular, while I was driving, I blacked out and I nearly crashed into a wall, but God saved me. Another blackout, while I was in a hot tub, I nearly drowned. Somebody had to pull me from the hot tub. And the third blackout, that was so devastating. Somebody I didn't know carried me off somewhere and raped me while I was blacked out. And to this day, that person has not been prosecuted. My life began to spiral out of control for a very long time, and I was so angry at God and angry at everyone else. I kept asking God, why? How could He allow this to happen to me? Why did this happen to me? And I didn't deserve this. But I can truly say today that God kept me and God healed me, and I sit here whole and complete in Christ. But God began to take me back over my life to where it all began. I grew up in a normal, average Bahamian home. I had 4 siblings. I was a part of a twin. I have a twin sister. And, you know, people can be very cruel. I was always being compared to her. Even though we were both smart, they always looked at her as the smarter one. And I always wanted to measure up. I always tried to measure up to her. And this caused a void to be inside of me. And I was looking for love. I was looking for something and somewhere to fill that void. And looking for love in all the wrong places. I ended up pregnant at a very young age. And that made matters worse because I felt so ridiculed. I felt scorned by everyone. I felt like I had let everyone down. But I wanted so desperately to redeem myself. And people, that's a recipe for disaster. Because potential abusers, they thrive off of insecurities. They can smell your insecurity from a mile away. And then I met him. Charming, strong, saying all the things I wanted so desperately to hear. He accepted me. He was like my knight in shining armor. I felt accepted. And I was so blinded, I ignored all the warning signs that was there. I heard all the horror stories about how he was abusive, in past relationships, how he was so jealous and controlling. But I didn't want to see it. I was deceived. I thought he would never do that to me, not me. I was good, I was nice. Maybe those girls was bad. Maybe they cheated on him. Maybe they did something to tick him off. So I just thought he would never do that to me. Our dating was so rocky. We had huge breakups, makeups. Whenever we argued, there was huge tantrums, huge outbursts. He was just so jealous and controlling. Even my parents at the time, they objected to the relationship, but I didn't want to see, I didn't want to believe it. I confused the jealousy with love. And that's what we do as young women sometimes. We feel because he's so jealous of me and we have this crazy love. No one else can understand this fatal attraction. I got married behind my parents' back. I didn't even tell them. I came home and I said I was already married. I was being rebellious. And we know that disobedience always brings a curse. From day one, our marriage was full of trouble, full of all sorts of trouble. And I entered into the marriage with this misconception that I could change him. Our love, I could change him. But you can't change anyone. Only God can change a person. And even God does not force his will on us. You have to want to change. This man, he monitored everywhere I went, who I talked to. He always accused me of having affairs. Even if I just talked to someone, he just accused me of having an affair with them. His controlling behavior chased away all of my friends. And I remember one time we had this argument while I was pregnant. He pushed me and I fell against the stove in our kitchen and my blood pressure just soared to the roof. And I was terrified. I didn't know what was going to happen next. I remember one time I wasn't in the mood for having sex with my husband and he just got furious and he kicked me. We were in bed laying down and he kicked me out of the bed and I fell on the floor. And I couldn't believe that happened. I didn't even realize how much that was affecting me emotionally. I became so depressed and my self-confidence just was diminishing daily. That night in 2001, when the final incident happened, it was so surreal. It was like a movie. I couldn't believe it was happening. My daughter, who was 2 at the time, saw the attack. My son was at 11 at the time and he was so brave. He shielded me. And he ended up getting knocked out of the way in the crossfire. I knew then I had to get out and I had to get out for good. I couldn't allow my kids to be exposed to this. I had to break this cycle. I have written a book, It Could Happen to You. And in this book, I outline some of the red flag behaviors to look out for in potential abusers. My book goes into more details about my story. It also has questions that you can ask yourself to help determine whether you might be in an abusive relationship. It gives hints on how to get out and to get over abuse. Young man, young woman, and yes, abuse happens to men as well. Ignoring abuse is dangerous. Yes, you might say it only happened once, but violence rarely happens only once. 2, you are not to blame. Don't ever feel like you did something to cause the person to be abusive towards you. Everyone has issues. Everyone has choices to make. 3, you cannot change an abusive person. And 4, get out and stay out and get help. My pastor, Bishop Kirkwood and Kelly Murphy of Temple Fellowship Ministries, always make this statement: looking back is death. And that is so true with abuse. There's no guarantee that if you go back, that the next time you will come out alive. Ask yourself, does my partner make me feel afraid or intimidated? Does he hurt or threaten me or threaten someone I love if I don't do what he wants me to do? Does he embarrass me, call me bad names, or put me down? Does he try to control who I talk to and where I go or what I wear? Does he or she get violent and angry very easily? Does he constantly accuse me of having an affair? These are some signs that abuse may be in the future. If any of these things is happening to you or happening to someone that you know, get out now. Get help now.
Well, Bahamas, that brings us to the end of another serious show of You Got Issues. If this show has blessed you, if you've learned some stuff, hit us up on the numbers on the screen, send us a text message, send us a Vmail message. We are here to help you and to sensitize the community concerning the serious vices that exist, like that of physical abuse. You got issues? Hey, sponsors, we need you, man. Your cousins got issues, write us a check. Your mama's got issues. Your best friend's got issues. But here's the place where we deal straight up with your issues. The victim needs to be assured you're not judging them. They need you to listen to them. You need to let them know all the services that are available to them. You need to find out whether they're in danger and tell them if they're in immediate danger. You must call 919 right away. Physical abuse. Together we can stomp it out. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
You got issues, what? You got issues, what? You got issues, what? Everybody's got them. You got issues, what? You got issues, what? You got issues, what? Everybody's got them. You got issues, what? You got issues, what? You got issues, what? Everybody's got them. You got issues, what? You got issues, what? You got issues, what? Everybody's got them. We all got issues, but we got options. Point being the word issues, we all got them. Got your head down, always keep your head up. Cause what doesn't kill will make you stronger. We all know the feeling, yes indeed it hurts. Want the problem solved, take the issue to church. If life is a gamble, we shouldn't be playing. But that's not the case, therefore all I'm saying is you